Welcome to the TerraSync and Pathfinder Office course for the GeoExplorer 6000 series receivers. Our objectives. First, we've got a section on the GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. This is a chance where you get to play around with it and learn things about the operating system. Next, we're going to show you how to activate the floodlight and or the NEMA option if that hasn't already been done for you. After that, we're going to show you how to register your hardware and software. This step starts the warranty process for your hardware and software. In addition, when we register the software, we get the necessary codes to install TerraSync onto the 6000 and to install Pathfinder Office onto our computer. Then we're actually going to show you how to install that software, both TerraSync onto your Geo and Pathfinder Office onto your computer. After we've gotten all that done, we're then going to start the steps to create and do a project from start to finish. This includes differential GNSS theory. We're going to then move into planning our project, where we're going to create a project in Pathfinder Office. We're going to create something called a data dictionary, then transfer that data dictionary to the TerraSync software on our 6000 series receiver. Then we're going to go through the steps for setting everything up for data collection in TerraSync. With our TerraSync configuration done, we're then going to head out to the field and perform a basic data collection session. With our field data collection complete, we're going to come back into the office and process our field data. When we process our field data, we're going to show you how to configure Pathfinder Office, download the data from TerraSync. After we download the data from TerraSync, we're going to show you how to differentially correct your data, review your data, make edits to your data, and finally show you ways to export the data so that it can be used in a CAD or GIS system. Getting started with the GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. Let's begin by exploring the parts of the 6000 series receiver. At the top, we have a forward-facing 5 megapixel camera. Where we have our Trimble logo is where the GNSS antenna is located. On the left side is where we can plug in an external antenna cable into our receiver. The white circle on the right side of the screen is where we have the auto brightness sensor. The screen will automatically adjust its brightness based on field conditions. When we're out in the field, we wouldn't want to cover this up. It would affect our brightness situation of the screen. In the center, we have our touch screen. At the bottom of the screen, we have a backlit keypad and the LED status panel. On the left side of the receiver, we have a SIM card slot that would be available if we had the 3.5G edition. And on the right side, we have our SD or SDHC or high capacity card slot. At the bottom of the receiver on the left, we have where our microphone is located. And on the right, we have our speaker. Finally, at the bottom or back of the unit, we have a mini USB socket and where the hot swappable battery is located. Using your included quick start guide that came with the equipment, the first thing we need to do is to insert the battery and fully charge it. After the battery has been fully charged before turning on your Geo 6000, this is a great opportunity to install your screen protector. Once the screen protector has been installed, now we can turn the receiver on using the green power button. If this is the first time the unit has been turned on, we will need to select a language and or align or calibrate the touchscreen. Using the quick start guide, go ahead and perform the assigned language and calibrate your touchscreen. After you've gotten that done, you can use your stylus or your finger to operate the touchscreen. Tap the screen once to open or select options. Tap and hold on an item to see pop-up menus of available items that you can do. Then using the tap once method, you would select that item. Use flick or swipe to scroll through list or menus. In the next segment, we're going to take a tour of the Geo 6000 series receiver, concentrating on the menu structure of Windows Mobile 6.5, its settings and configurations. working with the Windows Mobile 6.5 operating system and your GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. Before we begin, you need to make sure you've got your GeoExplorer receiver, it's turned on, and you're here at your home screen. If you're not here at your home screen, go ahead and X out of anything to get back to your home screen. If you need some time to pause the video, feel free to do this now. Great, now that you got everything ready to go, let's start touring this operating system. To do this, we can use our up and down arrows, or excuse me, not our up and down arrows, we can use the stylus and we can tap and hold and drag the home screen up or down to see various items there. We can also tap on the Windows Start button at the bottom left, and that'll take us into an area where we can see our programs as well as our settings. Think of it as sort of a hybrid between desktop icons and control panel on a computer. If we were to tap on the home icon here, we could actually go back to our home screen. We can set up emails, text, contacts, calendars, things that we would have with a normal mobile operating system device. We've got Internet Explorer. We've got our settings, which we'll go into in a minute. We've got alarms. We've got pictures and videos. We also have other icons, Windows Media, Windows Live, Messenger, Calculator, Notes, ActiveSync, File Explorer, Task Manager, a variety of things. Let's first begin by tapping on File Explorer. This is, think of it like My Computer or Windows, or My Computer or Windows Explorer is the best way to explain it here. When you tap on File Explorer, you can see the file structure of your Geo. You can scroll down on the right and you can see a variety of programs or folders that are actually installed on the device. If you were to go into one of the folders by tapping on it, you can see other subfolders or other information under those. To return back to where you are, you could tap the up button down here at the bottom, or you could tap on the drop down arrow and start again at My Device. Again, at the bottom you have the menu button. When you tap on the menu button, this will allow you to do normal Windows functions, cut, copy, paste, rename, move the files, sort, those type of operations. We're going to tap on the menu button here to get rid of that list. Once you're done playing with File Explorer, you can go ahead and tap the X at the bottom right. When you do that, unfortunately, it returns you back to your home screen of your device. To get back to where we were, let's tap on the Windows button again. We can scroll all the way up by either tapping and holding with our finger, or we could use our stylus and slide, whichever the way you want to go. And we have something called Task Manager. When we tap on Task Manager, there may be programs that are actually running on the device, and it could affect your performance. What you could do is you could highlight, for example, File Explorer, and let's say that task is running but we don't really need it, we can kill it. To do that, at the bottom left, tap on End Task. When we tap on End Task, it goes ahead and ends it. We could also do the same thing for Task Manager and say End Task. When we do that, it returns us back to our home screen. If your device is not performing correctly, a good way to go is into your Task Manager, see what tasks are running, and kill those tasks. That way your device stays optimized for its performance. Let's go ahead and go back to the Windows button at the bottom left. Let's go and tap on Settings. When you tap on Settings, this is where we could do things such as Bluetooth. We could use it to Bluetooth to cell phones or other type of Bluetooth peripheral devices like lasers, barcode scanners, anything that'll do a Bluetooth comm connection to your receiver. Over here on the right, you have Sounds and Notifications. When you tap on Sounds and Notifications, it's going to go ahead and play sounds for events and warnings. It's going to do it for programs. You could also enable it for screen taps and also for hardware buttons as well. The choice is yours. Notice up here at Sounds, we have little left and right arrows. That means there's more information. We could either use our stylus or our finger, and we could flick it either left or right to go to the different screen. Or you could even tap up here, let's say on Notification. You could find out what sounds are being played for what notifications. If you could find the WAV file on the device, you could replace it with the same name and have your own custom file name. We're going to do the same thing again for sounds, and there's only two things on this screen. At the bottom right, go ahead now and tap on OK. When we do that, the nice thing is we're not returned back to the home screen. The reason why is we're in our settings menu, so we're another level, quote unquote, deep into looking into the operating system. Where it says clocks and alarms, let's go ahead and tap on clocks and alarms. This is where you can set your date and time, and that may not have been set correctly when you configured your device initially. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you've got the correct time zone. You would do that by tapping on the drop-down list and selecting your time zone. Then you would want to tap on the drop-down arrow for your date and set the appropriate date. Then for your time, go ahead and set the time as well. You can have it sync automatically to the current time zone, and then also you can have it notify you when the time zone has changed or been updated. Again, up here at the top we have something called alarms. We can swipe, tap, whatever you want to do to go in and set a variety of alarms if you need to on the Geo. We're not going to set any alarms. Down at the bottom right, we're going to tap on OK. Again, we're returned back to our settings menu. We could go up here and tap on the home button. When you tap on the home button, this is where you can assign a variety of things to show up on your home screen, which will change its look and feel. You've got the classic blue, which is fine. Then over here on the right, we've got items. When we tap on items, we could have things like Windows Default, which is what we're seeing now with the text and the GNSS and the date and favorites and Internet Explorer, where we have to slide up and down. You could put a check-in for date, wireless, messaging if you needed to, device lock, calendar. If you do that, your screen, your home screen of your device is going to change. We're not going to affect that. All we're going to do now is tap on OK at the bottom right. One last thing we're going to do right here is we're going to go ahead and go into System. When we go into System, we're again drilling down more into the example or comparison would be to Control Panel. We can see where we can adjust the contrast. We could actually adjust the backlight. We can determine what it's going to do when the backlight's going to turn off, when it's going to turn on, based on whether we're on battery power or external power. Up here again at the top, we can tap on external and decide what the backlight's going to do. Then also too, we can do with the brightness. And we're going to make sure the brightness is on, and we're going to use the sensor in it to automatically adjust the brightness and of the screen based on our field conditions when we're outside. At the bottom right, go ahead and tap on OK here. Another thing we can do is we can scroll down. We can see Manage Programs. We've got an area where we can remove programs. Finally, if you're having problems with your device when trying to enter in information and the stylus is not responding appropriately to your screen taps, or you're tapping on something and it's not hitting in the right area, that may require you to align your screen. To do this, it's under the Screen section. When you tap on Screen, this is where you can align the screen right here. You would go through the routine of like you did when you first powered on your Geo, and you'd tap and hold and follow the little crosshairs around your screen to align it. We're not going to do that here. We're going to go ahead now and tap on OK. Finally, we have Task Manager. Task Manager is where we can stop programs from running that will affect the performance of the device. We're going to go ahead and end the Task Manager task. That way it's not affecting the performance of the device. The nice thing is down here at the bottom on the left, we can go ahead and press or tap on the arrow pointing to the left. And when we do that, that'll actually take us up a level into or back a level, excuse me, into our folder structure or our operating system structure of the device. First thing we're going to do now is we're going to tap on Power. When we tap on Power, we can see how much battery power we have remaining. We've got the Advanced button where you could flick or swipe to the left or to the right. You can see what it's going to do when it's on battery power, when the device is going to turn on and turn off based on whether it's on battery power or when it's on external power. We also have information about our processor. It's set up now currently for power savings versus performance, and you can adjust that based on what you need out in the field. And again, we can return right back to our battery screen. Right here at the bottom right, we're going to go ahead and tap on OK. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Personal folder. The Personal folder is where you can assign quick short buttons. By tapping on the button icons, you can assign programs to your buttons, either to the left or to the right of the camera button. We can see that the camera button automatically activates the camera on the Geo. You would decide what program to assign by highlighting the button function on the left, and then down here at the bottom in the drop down area for assign a program, you would tap on that drop down list and select what you want it to do. Once you've got that set up, you can go ahead and tap on OK here. For input, when we tap on input, this is where Windows Mobile can do certain things, such as what type of keyboard you're going to see, how small it's going to be. We can also see for word completion. We're not going to turn on word completion, but you can leave it on. That way it'll automatically suggest it'll speed up your typing out in the field. Then finally, we have our options as well for recording formats, for sound files. And then finally, again, we're back to our input method. Down at the bottom right, we can go ahead now and tap on OK. We're going to tap at the bottom of the screen, the arrow pointing to the left, and then we're going to go into the connections folder. When you go into the connections folder is where we can set up connections for wireless manager, to turn on the Wi-Fi of the device, to do things with Bluetooth, for connections and managing your connections for internet connectivity. That'll be explored a little bit later on in this course. Tap again the bottom button at the left to go back. Tap again the bottom button at the left to go back. If you want to, and you've got certain things that you're going to access all the time, you can actually move icons around on the screen. All we'd have to do is tap and hold, let's say for example on settings, and we can drag it up and we can replace where it was for email. That way when we tap on our Windows button at the bottom left, we can get to our icons and the things we need to do faster with the GeoExplorer. At the bottom right, go ahead and tap the X. Now we've returned back to the home screen of the Geo. Now we've finished our tour and we've learned how to work with the operating system of the GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. Activating the floodlight and/or NEMA options on the GeoExplorer 6000 series receivers. Floodlight and NEMA are optional features that have to be activated on the GeoExplorer 6000. The floodlight option is standard on all GeoXHs and is an optional feature on the GeoXTs. NEMA is an optional item that is available for both the XH and the XT. If you are to have one or both of these features, then they need to be activated. There are two ways that the floodlight and/or NEMA option can be activated. One way is doing it automatically, and another way is doing it by a manual method. For automatic activation to occur, the Geo needs to be connected to the internet. This can be done by using an ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center connection between your receiver and your computer, a Wi-Fi connection, or by using the 3.5G cellular modem. We're going to show you how to activate the option on your device by using a ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center connection. Then we're going to show you how to do a manual activation. A manual activation is done when your Geo cannot be connected to the internet. To perform this activation, we're going to need an activation file. This is generated by your Trimble distributor. Please contact your Trimble distributor if you cannot do the automatic method and provide them with the serial number of your device. They will be able to generate an activation file for you and send it to you electronically. Once you get this activation file, we want to save it on our computer. Remember where this file is saved on our computer, as we're going to show you how to perform a manual activation as well. To successfully connect our receiver to our computer, we're going to need a free program from Microsoft. This free program we need is based on the operating system of our computer. If you have a Windows XP and earlier operating system, then we're going to need a program called ActiveSync. The version of ActiveSync that we're going to need is version 4.5 or later. If you have Vista or Windows 7 as your operating system, the program we're going to need is called Windows Mobile Device Center. In addition, we need to make sure we get the correct version of Windows Mobile Device Center based on whether we have a 32-bit or a 64-bit operating system. At the bottom of this video, there's a link that will directly take you to Microsoft's homepage. In the search window, enter in either ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center. Again, it's based on your computer's operating system. Then go ahead and download that program and install it on your computer. Next, go ahead and connect the USB cable that came with your receiver to your computer. Don't connect it to your receiver just yet. We're going to do that in the next section. Automatically activating the floodlight and/or NEMA options for your receiver. What you should have done up to this point, just as a review, is you should have downloaded either ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center onto your computer and have installed those programs. In addition, you should have taken an available USB cable and plugged that into your computer, not to your receiver just yet. We'll do that here in a few seconds. The next thing you need to make sure of is that your computer has a valid internet connection and you can surf the web. Finally, you're going to need your GeoExplorer handy as well. If you need to pause the video to get everything together, feel free to do so now. Great. Now that you got everything ready to go, the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and grab our cable and go ahead and plug it into our GeoExplorer series receiver. What it should do is it should start showing you that it found a new device, it's adding the hardware and all of that. Once all that hardware, devices and everything has been installed and everything, what you should see is you should see something about a synchronization wizard. Now this happens to be an XP computer, therefore we're using ActiveSync. The key thing here at this screen is you don't want to go through the wizard. You can end up synchronizing your calendar, your contacts, your emails, and other identified folders to your device. Probably don't want to do that. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and click cancel. When we click cancel, we see now that we actually have established a guest connection. Once you've established that guest connection, now you can turn your attention to the GeoExplorer series receiver. Now that your attention has been turned towards the GeoExplorer series receiver, what you want to do is, using your stylus at the bottom left, tap on the start button. When you tap on the start button, we may have to flick or tap and hold our stylus and scroll up to find the settings icon. When we tap on the settings icon, the next thing we're looking for is the system folder. Tap on the system folder. Then you definitely want to flick or scroll up to find the icon for system information. Tap on your system information icon. Up here at the top where we've got device, we're going to tap on GNSS to see what type of receiver we have. We actually happen to have a GeoXH. Then over here at the right beside GNSS we have options. Tap on options. We can see that floodlight and NEMA have not been activated. If they've been activated on your device, great. Nothing else needs to be done. Exit out, proceed on. But for us, we need to do that. To activate our options, we're going to tap on the Activate Options button. When we tap on the Activate Options button, we're given a choice whether we want to do automatic or whether we want to do manual. Notice for automatic, it does require an internet connection. Hopefully with our ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center, it's got our GeoExplorer series on the internet. To find out, we're going to tap on Get Updates. When we tap on Get Updates, it goes out to Trimble servers and starts doing the activation process for us. When the activation process has been done, we're going to be given the message that for all these options to take place, we need to restart the device. Go ahead and tap on Yes to restart your device, then come right back here to this screen and you should see the options that you signed up for all should say activated. Now you have successfully automatically activated the floodlight and or the NEMA options on your receiver. Manually activating your floodlight and or your NEMA options on your receiver. If you have to go the manual activation route, what you should have done is you should have called your distributor. You should have given them the serial number of your device, and they should have generated and sent to you an activation file. When you got this activation file, you should have downloaded it and saved it somewhere on your computer that you can remember where to get to. Before we even get going using Windows Explorer or My Computer, go ahead and navigate to where that activation file is stored. If you want to leave that window up on your computer screen, fine, feel free to do so. Also, what we should have done, just as a review, we should have installed either ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center onto our computer. We also should have gone ahead and plugged in the USB cable that came with our computer, plugged it into an available USB port, but didn't plug it into the receiver just yet. Feel free to pause the video to get everything together. Great, now that you've got everything together, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our cable and we're going to go ahead and plug it into the Geo6000, and we're going to start the process of establishing either an active sync or a Windows Mobile Device Center connection. When that's done, when it finds and gone through the add new hardware and all of those wizards, whether you have active sync like we have here on this computer or Windows Mobile Device Center, you're going to come to a screen where it's going to ask you to set up some type of synchronization or move files automatically, something like that. What you want to do is you want to click cancel here. If you go through the wizard, you can end up synchronizing your email, your contacts, your calendar, and the other folders to your device. Probably don't want to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click cancel here. When we click cancel, you should see where you are guest connected. Once you've done your guest connection, what we're going to do now is we're going to minimize this folder. Then down here we're going to bring up our Windows Explorer folder. When we bring up our Windows Explorer folder, we've got our activation file already here saved. We're going to go ahead and right click on it and then go to copy. Now we're going to scroll down, and in our available list of devices we should see something called mobile device. When we click on mobile device, we are now looking into the hard drive of the device. What we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and right click here and then go down and select paste. When we click paste, we may be given something about a conversion or some type of file conversion may be needed. We're going to go ahead and click OK. It's the only thing we can do here. And now that activation file has been copied from your computer over to your GeoExplorer. If you want to, you can go ahead and exit out of Windows Explorer or My Computer and now turn your attention to the GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. Now that our attention has been turned to the GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver, what we want to do now is at the bottom left, tap on the Start button. When you tap on the Start button, you may have to scroll up, but what we're looking for is we're looking for our settings icon. Tap on the settings icon. Underneath settings, tap on the system folder. Then scroll up to find the icon for system information. Tap on system information. Up here at the top, we've got GNSS. Let's tap on that. We've tapped on GNSS. We've got a GeoXH receiver. And now let's tap on options. When we tap on options, we can see that, hey, if we have our NEMA and our floodlight activated, great. Nothing else needs to be done. You can disconnect and go on and follow on with the rest of the training class. But if it says not activated, to activate it manually, down at the bottom, tap on Activate Options. Make sure that you select for manually activated purchased options, and it requires an option file, which we have just copied and repasted onto the receiver. Tap on Get Updates. It now finds our folder, which happens, our file, excuse me, not our folder, it's looking in all folders, and it finds our XML activation file. With it selected, when we tap on it, it goes ahead and applies our activation to our receiver. It's going to go ahead and ask us to restart it. You can go ahead and say yes. When the receiver has restarted and you go back to this same area, you tap on your Windows button, Settings, System folder, System Information, tap on GNSS, then tap on Options. You should see the options have been successfully activated on your device. So we have now successfully completed a manual activation of either floodlight and or our NEMA options. Registering your hardware and your software. Registering your hardware properly starts the warranty period and helps for future requests regarding extended warranty, technical support, and service. The hardware serial numbers are located on the outside of the packaging box and also on the back of your receiver, or if you had an external antenna, it'd be listed there too as well. The TerraSync and Pathfinder Office software come with something called a proof of purchase number, or what we call a POPN, P-O-P-N. When this number gets registered, it actually gets converted into something called an installation serial number or code. We have to have this installation serial number or code for both TerraSync and Pathfinder Office to properly install the software. At the bottom of this video, there's a link that will take us directly to Trimble's registration site. This is where we're going to begin our process. If you do not have an account, then what we're going to need to do is create an account. When you click on the Create an Account link, you'll be asked to enter in your contact details and your email address. Once your account has been created, you're going to be emailed your password. If you already have an account, go ahead and enter in your email address and your password now. In the first section under My Information, we'll probably want to go ahead and click on the Edit button. This is where we can update our information and also change that password, which we're never going to remember, to something that we can. Then in the next section under Manage Communications, it is advised that you are at least subscribing to the warranty and enhancement expiry notification. This way we can be notified when our hardware or software warranties are about to expire and decide if we want to renew them. If we click on Update, also on the right, we can subscribe to various newsletters that Trimble produce. To begin the registration process for the hardware and software, under the My Products section, we're going to want to click the Add button. When we click the Add button, we want to select our registration method. We're going to use the Add a New Serial Number method to register hardware. Remember, hardware is something like our GPS receiver or an external antenna. For the Add Proof of Purchase Number, or pop-in, this is for the software. First, we're going to look at the Add a New Serial Number, and then we're going to look at the Add a New Proof of Purchase Number second. When the Add a New Serial Number option is selected, and then we click Next, the Serial Number Details page appears. We'll enter in our serial number. Optionally, we can enter in a unique identifier in the reference field. Then, go ahead and click Next, and follow the steps to complete the registration of your hardware serial number. When you select the Proof of Purchase serial number option and we click Next, we're at the Proof of Purchase Number Details page. We'll enter in the pop-in number for either TerraSync or for Pathfinder Office. Optionally, you can enter in a unique identifier in the Your Reference field. We'll click Next to complete the steps for registering our pop-in. This will have to be done for each pop-in separately. For example, if you have TerraSync and Pathfinder Office, you will have to go through these steps twice. Now you're returned to the My Trimble web page where the software you have just registered now appears in the My Products section. In the information below, especially dealing with the software that you just registered, does not appear below it. Go ahead and click on the plus beside of it. What we see is we see the installation code. That's what we're going to need. We need to copy the whole installation code, including the dashes. We're going to need to have that information handy to install our software. To get the TerraSync and Pathfinder Office software, we're going to need to download it from Trimble's support site, since they no longer ship media. At the bottom of this video, there are links that will take you to where you can download the TerraSync software and also the Pathfinder Office software. We're going to need to make sure that we get Pathfinder Office and TerraSync versions 5.10 or higher. These are the versions that are compatible with the GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. Please go ahead and take the time and download the software to your computer. Please remember where it's downloaded it, because we're going to show you how to install the TerraSync software onto your mobile device, as well as how to install Pathfinder Office onto your computer. Installing the TerraSync software onto your GeoExplorer 6000 series receiver. What you should have done up to this point to make sure we're all on the same page is, number one, you've gone ahead and you've downloaded the TerraSync software version 5.10 or higher. You know where that file is stored on your computer. If you want to, go ahead now and use My Computer or Windows Explorer and navigate to where that file is. We've already done that here. It's sitting down here at the bottom of our screen in a folder ready to go. The next thing that you should have done is you want to make sure that you've got that proof of purchase number, you've gone ahead and gone to Trimble Restoration Site and converted that to an installation serial number or code, and you have that information handy as well. If not, go ahead and log into your registration account and get that information. Finally, to establish a connection between your data collector or your receiver and your computer, if you have Windows XP and earlier as your operating system, you're going to need to download a program called Microsoft ActiveSync. The version of ActiveSync that you're going to need is version 4.5 or higher. If you have Vista or XP, you're going to need to make sure that you've got a program called Windows Mobile Device Center. Also, when downloading Windows Mobile Device Center, be careful. Make sure you get the one based on whether you have a 32-bit or a 64-bit operating system. If you need to, feel free to pause the video at this time to go ahead and download everything. Make sure you install ActiveSync or Windows Mobile Device Center. If you haven't, feel free to pause the video now to do so. Great. Final steps that we need to do to finish our process and get to installing the TerraSync software. Go ahead and grab your USB cable, go ahead and plug that into your computer, turn on your GeoExplorer series receiver, and let's go ahead and plug in the USB cable to our GeoExplorer series receiver. When you do that, what's probably going to happen is you're going to see down here in the bottom of your screen, it's going to be adding new device hardware and all of that. When that screen goes ahead and completes, it should start the connection process automatically, either using ActiveSync like we're using here on this computer, or with Windows Mobile Device Center. Whichever one you have, you're going to be probably asked about some synchronization wizard or some setup to synchronize your device to your computer. If you go through and you perform the synchronization, what can happen is you can end up synchronizing your Outlook email, your contacts, your calendars, and that may not be something that you want to do to your mobile device. It's really recommended here at this screen that we go ahead and click cancel, or we select some type of guest relationship and we set up a guest partnership or relationship between our receiver with the Windows operating system and our computer as well. We've got that connection made and established. We're now going to go ahead and minimize this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring up our folder that contains TerraSync. What we need to do is we're going to go ahead and double click on this TerraSync since it's an executable file and it's asking us about a warning here. Yes, we do want to run the software. It asks us now for our language. Select your language that you want appropriately installed on your device here from the drop-down list. When you've got your language selected, go ahead and click on OK, and this will start the installation process. What's going to happen is we're going to go through a little wizard to actually install the software from our computer actually onto our mobile device. And we're here at the welcome screen. We're going to go ahead now and click on Next. We're given information about the end user license agreement. We're going to go ahead and click on Yes to accept that. And now we're given information about what do we want to do. Well, we already have registered TerraSync and we have a valid installation code. We're going to select that one. If you didn't do the registration process, you can go through and select the second option, but we've already got the first option taken care of. We're going to go ahead and click on Next. When we do this, what we're looking to enter here is you're looking to go ahead and start keying in your installation serial number or your installation code. It's not case sensitive. However, the key thing is there's numbers and then there's a dash, then there's numbers, then there's a dash, then there's some more numbers, then there's a dash, and then finally there's some letters and numbers. The nice thing is anything that is a zero is a zero. There's no O's used in the installation codes. If you want to, you can copy and paste it. You can go ahead and type it in. Go ahead and do so now. We've already copied our installation code. We're just going to go ahead and paste it in here. Once you've got your installation code entered in, you want to go ahead and click on Next. When you click on Next, it's the final screen. It's saying, hey, I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? Yes, we are. We're going to go ahead and click on Next. When we click on Next, there's information about the tutorial. That's great. We're going to go ahead and click on Next there. And now it's finally starting the process of copying the files from our computer onto the mobile device, and it will go ahead and install the information onto the mobile device. When you look at your GeoExplorer 6000 series right here, when this screen comes up, you should see a progress bar. It's a little blue bar indicating the progress going along with it. When that progress bar gets done on your GeoExplorer 6000 series, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go ahead and tap on OK. That way the device will be restarted and it will reboot itself, and then we're going to reestablish our active sync connection. We've got our OK information that the software has been installed successfully. We'll tap on OK. Now it's going to break our active sync or Windows Mobile Device Center connection. While it's doing that, we can go ahead and click on OK here. When we click on OK, it says now the maintenance has been completed, and now we can go ahead and click on Finish. What we want to do now is we want to make sure that after our device is rebooted and it's reestablished the active sync or Windows Mobile Device Center connection, we're here at the activation screen. TerraSync has to be activated in order to run on your 6000 series unit. What it does is this activation process locks your TerraSync license to this device. It's a way to make sure that you adhere to the end user license agreement. If you cannot go through this wizard, please contact your Trimble distributor to be able to, for them to generate an activation file. We'll put a link at the bottom of the video that will take you to the process of doing a manual activation. It's actually at the support site for Trimble. We're going to go ahead and select English here, and we're going to click OK. This activation is actually going to be done using the internet. You get a chance right now to verify your installation serial number or your installation code. Make sure that's correct, and then go ahead and click on Next. When you click on Next, now we have our various choices of methods. We've got an active sync connection. We know our computer's on the internet. We know our Geo's on the internet. We shouldn't have any problems. We should be able to click Next here. Maybe you've already got an activation key for this device that came from your Trimble distributor. You would follow that method. And if you don't have an internet connection, then there's steps that'll walk you through to send information so you can get your activation key and go through this wizard again, in which we would select the second option where we already have the activation file. We don't have our activation file. We're going to go through the internet. We're going to go ahead and click on Next. Again, we get more information about our device. What's the device name? What's the device serial number? And now we're going to go ahead and click on Next as well. When we click on Next, now it's starting the process of communicating over the internet to Trimble servers, and it's activating TerraSync on our device. We have seen that this is completed. We have a successful connection. That means we can start and work with TerraSync on our device. Wonderful. Let's go ahead now and click on Finish. We can go ahead and close out of Windows Explorer. Our device rebooted again after the activation process, which is great. It'll reestablish that Windows Mobile Device Center or that active sync connection. Doesn't matter. You could go ahead and pull your cable now if you wanted to out of the back of your receiver, because we now have successfully installed the TerraSync software. Installing the Pathfinder Office software. When we go to install the Pathfinder Office software, we'll actually have two methods that are provided to us in how we can install this. The first method is a single use, meaning that we're going to install Pathfinder Office on a single computer, and that's going to be the computer where it runs on. We could also install it where we use the Trimble Mapping and GIS License Manager, where we're going to have a license server, and then we're going to have floating copies of Pathfinder Office throughout our organization. The reason why we're given these options is using an internet connection, we actually now have to activate the Pathfinder Office software. Pathfinder Office software activation makes sure that we adhere to the end user license agreement. If you have to install Pathfinder Office on multiple computers, you can do so. Let's say you got field crews who need to go out, collect data, download it, and email it to the office. Then you can install Pathfinder Office in something known as a viewer mode. When you install Pathfinder Office in a viewer mode, it disables some of the functions. Those functions are listed here and include the batch processor, importing and exporting, differential correction, and the data dictionary editor. What we're going to show you in the next segment is we're going to show you how to install Pathfinder Office using a single-use license. If you are in an organization where you need to have multiple people accessing Pathfinder Office, but you only have so many licensed copies, then the route you want to take is the Trimble Mapping and GIS License Manager. At the bottom of this video, there's going to be a link that will take you to the documentation section for Pathfinder Office. This is where you can find the Getting Started Guide for Pathfinder Office version 5.1 or higher. In this Getting Started Guide, it gives you great directions and instructions on how to install the Pathfinder Office License Manager onto your license server, as well as the end user computers. Installing the Pathfinder Office software as a single-use license. What you should have done up to this point is you should have gone ahead and downloaded the Pathfinder Office software from Trimble support site. In addition, go ahead and use My Computer or Windows Explorer and navigate to where that file was downloaded to. That file's in a zip file format. Go ahead and unzip it. In addition, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you've got your installation code or serial number that came from the registration side of the Pathfinder Office pop-in number. Feel free to pause the video to perform those following operations. Great. Now that we're ready to install Pathfinder Office, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go navigate to that folder where everything was unzipped. We're going to double click on the autorun.exe. You don't have to if you want to do a single use install and your autorun.exe, you've had problems with them in the past. What you can do is you can click on the install folder, then go to the Pathfinder Office folder, and then there'll be a .msi file where you can do the same thing. Using our little auto run, we're just going to go ahead and select install. We're going to install Pathfinder Office. When we click on Install Pathfinder Office, we're asked to select our language. Please feel free to click on the drop-down list to select your language. We're going to go ahead and click on OK here, and then it's going to start the process of giving us a wizard to walk through to install the software. When our first screen comes up, it's the little Welcome To screen. All we can do is click Next at the bottom to go forward. The next thing we have here is our license agreement. You can print it out. To move forward, we've got to click Yes. Now it's asking us for a username and a company. We're going to go ahead and enter in our username and our company. You can make up something. The choice is yours, but you do have to have something in each box. So we're going to go ahead and put in our username and company. Then we're going to go ahead and click on Next. When we click on Next, now we have the choice of installing Pathfinder Office as a single use, which is what we're going to do. We can then use installing it using a floating license. That would mean we've already installed the software on the license server. Or we can install Pathfinder Office in the viewer mode. The viewer mode, again, can be great if you've got crews who are going to be traveling around, going out to the field and collecting data, and they need to download it and get it back to the office. We're going to make sure that we have Install Pathfinder Office with a single use checked or selected, and we're going to click Next. The next thing it's asking us for is, do we have a valid installation serial number or code, which we do. That came from the registration process. If you didn't register the software, you can select the bottom option and go through and do that. We've already got the first option. We're going to go ahead and click Next. Now it's asking us to enter in that install code. The install code is not case sensitive. However, there are some tricks to it. You've got numbers followed by a dash, some more numbers followed by a dash, even some more numbers followed by a dash, and then numbers and letters. You've got to type all that in, including the dashes. There are no O's in an install code. It is all zeros. You can type it in, or you can go to your registration site, copy and paste it, which is what we've done. We've already copied our install code from our registration page, and we've gone ahead and pasted it in here. Then we can go ahead and click on Next. When we click on next, we're just going to do a complete installation. We'll click on next one more time. We're not going to check the boxes for project changer or connection manager. We're going to leave those unchecked to go with the standard default installation. We'll click on next at the bottom again. We got a chance to review where everything's going to be installed. We're happy with the default locations. We'll click on next, and now the process of installing Pathfinder Office is starting. Once Pathfinder Office has finished, your computer needs to have a valid internet connection. If it doesn't, make sure you contact your distributor to get information about your computer so that they can generate an activation license. This computer is on the internet. When it's done, we're actually going to finish the install of Pathfinder Office by activating the software. We're going to hang out here real quiet like and wait the install to go. It's continuing on with the install. This is hopefully the last part of the install process. Once it's done, we should get the activation wizard to come up where we can activate the software onto our computer so that we can run Pathfinder Office without any restrictions. First thing we're asked for is, do we want to check for program updates? Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and click on next here. We're going to check for these program updates. We're going to just go right through this little wizard. Yes, we do have a internet access. We're going to click on next. What we want to make sure of is we get any updates at any time that are critical or recommended. Optional will be things like for language support files, and if you need those, again, feel free to check those and then go ahead and click next. What will happen is Pathfinder Office will automatically download these updates. It'll go ahead and run the updates and install them on your computer. Hopefully we won't be given the message that we need to reboot our machine before we can activate it. If we do, we'll show you a trick on how to get to the activation wizard a different way to fully activate your software. If you need to, go ahead and pause the video right now while these updates are being downloaded and installed on your computer. Our updates have been downloaded and installed on our computer. We're now going to go ahead and click on next. When we click on next, it automatically starts our activation process. It's asking us to verify our installation code or serial number. Should be able to review that and compare that. Ours agrees. We're going to go ahead and click on next. When we click on next, the next thing we're asked to do is, do we want to activate it over the internet? That's what we're going to do here. Maybe you already have an activation key, or if you don't have an internet connection, both of those, go ahead and take the time and contact your Trimble distributor, and they should be able to help you walk through that process. We're going to go ahead and click next here. What that's going to do is it's going to go out and communicate to Trimble servers. It's going to activate Pathfinder Office onto our computer. We've got that it was successfully completed. Now we can go ahead and click finish. We can go ahead and exit out of the little setup screen for Pathfinder Office. We can close out of Windows Explorer or My Computer. And now we have successfully installed the Pathfinder Office software as a single-use license onto a computer. Differential GNSS theory. Autonomous GNSS can be defined as a single GNSS receiver computing its position based on the measurements to the satellites that it is tracking. The approximate accuracy of an autonomous position is around plus or minus 10 meters horizontally, or 30 feet, and plus or minus 15 meters vertically, or 45 feet. To meet the specifications of our GNSS receiver, we're going to need to use something called differential techniques. Differential GNSS works by canceling out most of the errors that are introduced into our measurements. We'll talk about the sources of error shortly. But the secret involves two receivers, and the basic idea is this. We have one receiver that we know its precise location, or better yet, its latitude and longitude. This receiver is called the base station. It calculates its position from the GNSS satellites and compares the answer to its known location. The difference is the error in the measurements, hence the term differential. We can just not figure out the error once and use it to correct all of our measurements. The reason why is the errors are constantly changing since the satellites are continuously orbiting the Earth. We have to have two receivers working simultaneously to do the job. The base station stays put and continuously monitors the errors. The second receiver, called the rover, hey, that's us collecting data out in the field, is seeing the same satellites as the base station, and therefore we can say the errors between the base and the rover are common. We can then take the errors or corrections from our base station and apply these corrections to our rover measurements, either as they are being taken out in the field or sometime later, like back in the office. That's the secret to differential GNSS. When our autonomous position is computed at the rover, or even at the base, there are errors that are introduced into the calculation of our position. The error sources in GNSS are and include obstructions, multipath, and atmospheric delay. An obstruction is where something is blocking the GNSS signal between it and your receiver. Examples could include buildings, trees, and even your body if you're holding the receiver close to you. Ways to eliminate the obstructions is to change where you're standing to improve your reception, or get an external antenna and raise it over the obstruction if possible. Depending upon the environment we're collecting data, the GNSS signals may be reflected off of obstructions before it gets to our receiver's antenna. In this case, what's happening is the signal is getting to our receiver by multiple paths. That's why we come up with the word multipath. First, the antenna receives the signal direct because the direct route is always the fastest route. But then a split second later, the reflected signals arrive at the receiver as well. A good example would be ghosting on our TV. When you see that clear image, that's your TV signal coming straight into your antenna. When you see that ghosted image, that's that signal being bounced off of something and coming in a split second later. Examples of multipath environments include glassy buildings in an urban environment, leafy trees, and even chain link fences. The receivers have multipath rejection technology built into them, but not all multipath can be removed from the measurements that are recorded by the receiver. Last but not least, our last source of error is atmospheric delay. The signals from the satellites get delayed as they pass through the Earth's atmosphere. They come down through a layer called the ionosphere and through our local weather, or we call that the troposphere. Atmospheric effects are considered uniform if we are working close to the base station and can be removed as we work further away from the base station. As we have learned, in differential GNSS, we have to have two receivers. If you only bought a single receiver, don't worry, you don't need to run out and go buy a base station. There are public and private agencies that have already installed base stations, and they're even nice enough to share their correction with us. Another way of describing a base station is something that could be called a continuously operating reference station, or a CORS site. Notice the spelling. This is a base station that monitors errors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The errors can either be stored in files that we can access later, back in the office, or they can be sent out immediately for us to use in the field with our data collection at the rover. We can further break down differential GNSS into two different categories. They are post-processed and real-time. Let's start with post-process. Out in the field with our rover, we'll go out and collect autonomous data. At the same time, our core site is collecting and storing the corrections in a file or even files that is posted out to an internet site. We'll then come back into the office, we'll download our rover data using the Pathfinder Office software. Then we'll use something called the differential correction utility, where we will select our rover file that we want to correct. As we go through this little wizard, in the process, we will be able to select the base station or core site that is closest to where we were collecting data. The nice thing is Trimble maintains a list of core sites where correction data can be downloaded from. When we select our core site to correct the data, the utility automatically goes out to the internet and downloads the appropriate file or files based on the date and the time that we were out there in the field collecting data. Then the corrections from the base station are applied to our rover data to create our corrected file. So that's how post-processing works. Our next one is real-time. Real-time means our data is being corrected while we're collecting data out in the field. Some way, somehow, the base station corrections are getting out to us at the rover. Depending upon the method that you are using and the precision specifications of your equipment, this has the possibility of eliminating the need to post-process our data back in the office. Yes, you can go out and collect data in real time, and you could come back and possibly want to post-process it in Pathfinder Office. There are two popular real-time methods that are available to us that include something called satellite-based augmentation systems, or SBAS, and using something called a VRS, or a virtual reference station network. How does SBAS work, or satellite-based augmentation systems? Our base station corrections are computed and then uploaded to geostationary satellites. A geostationary satellite is in a fixed location and it rotates with us as the Earth rotates. The corrections are then broadcast down from the satellite to us at the rover. Examples of SBAS systems and the areas that they serve include something called WAAS, W-A-A-S, or Wide Area Augmentation System. That's for the US, Canada, and Mexico. EGNOS, or European Geostationary Navigation Overlay Service. And finally, something called MSAS, or Multifunction Transport Satellite-Based Augmentation System for Japan. Don't say that one too quick. A virtual reference station, or a VRS network, is another way of doing corrections to our data. This consists of multiple base stations sending their data back to a central computer or server. Then the corrections from this server or computer are made available to us on the internet. With our rover, we have it connected to the internet using some type of cellular connection, such as a cell phone or a mobile Wi-Fi hotspot. Then what happens is the rover sends its position back to the base. The server sees where we're located and uses the surrounding base stations to develop all the corrections and send them back to us at the rover. Therefore, we're getting all of our data corrected in real time. To summarize, differential GNSS requires two receivers. One receiver is referred to as the base station, and the other receiver is referred to as the rover. Remember, that's us out there collecting data. Our data can be corrected by using two techniques, either post-processing, where we do it in the office, or real-time, where our corrections are being done for us out in the field.